My next guest wants to remind you that there are ways to generate hope during life's biggest challenges. In fact, he says hope is necessary to overcome them. Studio 5 relationship contributor Dr. Matt Townsend also says hopelessness prevents us from taking action towards a happier life, which makes hope the driving force out of hardship. Matt is joining me in studio. Great to see you.
Good to see you.
So let me say that again and kind of set it up for us. Hopelessness robs us of our ability to act in our lives and instead leaves us to continue being acted upon. Explain that idea.
So hope creates an energy, a force, a drive to keep moving forward and creating an optimal life. And when you actually start to fall into a spiral of hopelessness, you kind of quit acting and you just start overthinking, you start spinning, you start doing nothing. And as you do nothing, you can't see more clearly what to do to create hope. That's why depression becomes more depressing. It spins on itself, right? So part of our goal here is to show you that there's some science about how to create hope. And once you understand the science of hope, then it's just pretty much moving two toggles and balancing two things and then acting consistently on this balance.
So you're helping us dial it in or generate hope. And I mean, fair to say, I think we'd all agree there are some people that maybe ride a little high and that hope comes naturally for them. But for someone who maybe doesn't identify to that strength or that streak of positivity, you're saying they can program it.
You can actually find hope and generate hope. Program it's really a great way to look at it. It really is a byproduct. The psychology comes from the psychology of flow. Flow is this idea that you can get in an optimal state of existence, right? And they wanted to figure out, do people happen into it? Are some just lucky? Do some just more naturally do it? Or is there a way to get into it? And a researcher named Mihai Csikszentmihalyi,
nice job.
It's nice. It's a big name.
Well done.
Taught that, you know what, you can actually get into it. And the people that are most apt out of all the people he studied that got into flow the most were paraplegics from Milan, Italy. Which means you don't need to want your challenge. You don't need to want how hard life is. You don't need to like it. You just need to grab it and do a few things. And when you start doing a few things around any challenge, you can create flow. And in Milan, Italy, they make it easier for paraplegics to get into flow.
How interesting.
Pretty cool.
And a great case study for the rest of us.
Absolutely.
And proof we can as well. So you have 4 ways to generate hope during life's biggest challenges, starting with this one, identify your source of hopelessness. So
what kind of hopelessness do you have? Are you in a relationship that's incredibly boring and you're tired of just the inane, mundane of the life? Or is it not bored, it's anxious? Is your hopelessness because everything is stressful, everything is hard, everything is difficult? Or is it just confusing? Are you just really confused and you don't know what to do next and that begets your hopelessness? So if it's one of these areas, what the cool thing about the research shows is that it's generally going to be one of two things, okay? It's going to be either it's going to be challenge and it's going to be skill, right? So if your life is really challenged and you lack skill, you're going to be stressed and anxious. So if you have really big challenges that you don't know how to handle and you don't have any skills to deal with it, you should be stressed and anxious. And if you do that long enough, then it's going to create problems for you. But if you have a ton of skill but no challenge, you're going to be bored. And if you're bored,
that's interesting.
And if you're bored, then all you have to do is up your challenge. So really, those are the two toggles. It's either you need more challenge in life or you need more skills. And the happiest, healthiest people, when challenge goes up, they skill up, and it creates flow or hope. Right? So all we have to start to figure out is, if I'm too bored, that means you need more challenge.
Interesting.
You need to up your game somewhere.
And not to take us backward, but it sort of was interesting to hear you describe how we can more deeply analyze our hopelessness, because to me, just the word feels like the bottom.
No,
like hopelessness. Like that's the end. Like, you know, it feels dark and heavy and hard. But to actually crack that open and to examine where that's coming from, that will lead you to the challenge versus skill analysis. That's really smart.
Imagine the fire department comes to your house to figure out how the house burnt down. They're going to go to the burnt core in the middle. And from there, they're going to start to work back. And they're going to realize that there's actually other things that were in play. Those two toggles, challenge and skill set.
And that's your second point. Make your challenge more interesting. Step it up.
If you have a lot of challenge and you're not finding a way to find the challenge interesting, then you're not going to do anything with it. So a lot of people that are hopeless and depressed have big challenges that they don't want, and they are sick of them.
Well, how do I make a challenge more interesting?
Well, one way to do it is make it a part of your highest value system.
Okay.
If a person's dying of cancer, I had a client once say, I don't care if I die of cancer. I just don't want my girls being raised by anyone else. Now the challenge is interesting to her. She's okay dying of cancer, but she doesn't want her kids to. So that creates the new interesting challenge.
Okay.
If you can make any challenge interesting by going to your value system, by identifying, if I keep doing this, will the challenge get easier or harder? That might make it interesting. Turn it into a game. Find a way to just get back to what we used to have. Anyway, that's, by the way, Motivation 101, is to take anything difficult and find it interesting.
Make it matter.
Make it matter. And if you'll just spend a little time taking the challenge and finding a way to make it more interesting, automatically you're more motivated.
This is so curious to me. You want us to create a plan to deepen our skills and our competencies.
That's right. So if you have the challenge, every challenge has pretty much been faced by everyone else on earth. And I'll guarantee you there's 50 books and 700 podcasts. And there's shows and there's people and there's experts that know how to do it.
Yeah.
So what I would do is, instead of just being down in the challenge, find a way to make it interesting, then go find the people, the pros, the tools, start growing your skills, line upon line, grow the skill. And as you get better and better in your challenge, weirdly, it gets easier. I don't know if you remember as a kid, but there were a lot of things that seemed overwhelming.
Tying our shoes.
Tying our shoes.
Was hard.
Going to the bathroom by ourselves. We didn't know how to do it. But over time, we
Yeah.
got the skills and the challenge went away.
We've got about a minute left. You want us to kind of take a daily drip approach. Like,
Yeah.
what are small actions I can do every day to chip away at that
And
hopelessness?
all you got to pretty much do is, once you have your plan, like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to take this course, I'm going to do this, then all that demands, all that hope needs is a little bit of action on the plan for the interesting challenge, and hope is born. So hope is nothing more than acting on the effective plan that produces results, and all you got to do is reach back and say, what's the easiest first thing I can do right now to manage this plan, or to do my plan on my challenge?
Do you know how empowering it feels to take a really emotional
Yeah.
situation like hopelessness and just
Yeah.
pull us out of it?
That's
Yeah,
right.
what you did. You
Well,
did with skills and
And
tools.
notice we had to be very specific, because
Yeah.
if you keep it really broad and big, it is daunting.
I love this.
But if you get specific, it's just one little thing we need to work on right now.
We're going to post this conversation online in case it might help you additionally or someone you know. Before we say goodbye, tell us about your 10-day relationship makeover. This is getting a
huge.
lot of attention,
Yeah.
and for good reason.
And this is this new launch we're doing. It's a product that in 10 days will evaluate you. We do an assessment, figure out where you are in the spiral in your relationship, and then over 10 days we deliver a new video with a workbook that you can now start to work through your challenges specifically to spin your relationship around and make it healthier.
In 10 days.
Yeah, all you got to do is go to matttownsend.com.
All right.
Tons of stuff.
We'll link you over there as well. Thanks, Matt.